Hey guys, it's Crystal here from ChristaCoDesign.com. Today we're working on this crochet pumpkin. To make this pumpkin, you'll use a 5mm crochet hook, orange and green yarn, depending on the size you want to make, about 10 to 15 yards of the green, and 25 to 45 yards of the orange. Okay, I'll start with a slip knot on my hook, and I'm going to chain one more than I want to make. I'm going to make the large, so I will chain 26. If you like to make the small, you can chain 16. To modify this number, you're looking to have a final stitch count that is an odd number, so you'll want to change to an even number. The number of stitches we have will be how tall our pumpkin is. So here you're modifying the height if you make any changes. For row 1, I'm going to half double crochet in the second chain from my hook and in each chain across. The skip chain does not count as a stitch, and as you can see here, I'm working into the back bump of my chain. You can work into any part of the chain you're comfortable with. When I get finished, you will have either 25 or 15 stitches. Okay, for row 2, I'm turning. This will be the right side of my work. I'm going to chain 1 to start my row, does not count, and then single crochet in the first stitch and in each stitch across. Okay, for row 3, I'll be working on the wrong side. And I'm going to start with a chain 3 or alternative, which I'll do here. This counts as my first double crochet. In the next stitch, I'm going to work a double crochet in the back loop only, and then a double crochet in the front loop only. And that will be my repeat across. Back loop only double crochet, front loop only double crochet. I'll always end with a front loop double crochet for row 3. Turning my work, I'll be on the right side. You can see our texture is working up nicely here. And for row 4, I'm doing a repeat of row 2, so I chain 1 and single crochet across. Okay, and those are the 4 rows that we're going to repeat. So my next row is going to be a half double crochet row. It'll be the 5th row, and I will start the half double crochet rows with a chain 1 and then half double crochet in the same stitch and in each stitch across. Now we'll just continue our repeat of these 4 rows, rows 2 through 5, until our work is as long as we need. For the small pumpkin, it's about 6 inches. For the large pumpkin, it is 12. When you're finished, don't cut your yarn. And now we're going to fold it to create the tube. I'm going to fold the right sides together, so I'm working on the wrong side. And then slip stitch the short ends here that have the stitches on the ends together. So it's just a simple matter of slip stitching stitch for stitch all the way across the ends. Okay, so once I have slip stitched across, I have a tube here. So this is about the height of my pumpkin before I stuff it and sew it together. I'm going to pull a long loop and cut my yarn. I'll get my yarn needle. Now I'm going to sew the bottom together. I'm still working on the wrong side here. and I'm using a running stitch. Just weaving my yarn and needle underneath those end stitches on the edge of our rows back and forth. And here I'll show you how I'm going to pull it and it will close for me. So I'll just keep doing that all the way around and then we will pull it closed and sew together that final hole. And now that I've done the running stitch all the way around, I can pull it to cinch it together and close the bottom. And now I'm going to sew the bottom together to keep it closed. So using my yarn needle and tail, I'm going to weave it in across, back and forth across the hole. The only thing you want to be aware of is that you don't catch only the running stitch that you just used to cinch it together. So again, your target is underneath those edge stitches. Once the bottom is secure, I can cut my yarn and turn it right side out. Now it's time to stuff it. I'm using polyfill to stuff it. You could also use yarn scraps or fabric scraps or something of that nature. Okay, so when I'm using polyfill, I am going to first fluff it before adding it in, which just means grabbing a small amount and pulling it apart a little and then adding it to my pumpkin. You want to stuff your pumpkin so that it's full but not bulging out, otherwise you'll lose the texture of your stitches. Okay, from this point we'll need to stuff as you go, meaning continue working and stuff in between. Now we're going to use the same running stitch we used for the bottom to close the top. And for this tutorial, I am going to crochet the stem, the vine, the leaf. So I'm going to leave a hole that allows me to crochet around the top to add the stem. You're going to just plunk a cinnamon stick in there and then you can pull yours all the way closed, just about. So I started with the locking stitch so that I don't pull my yarn out, and then you're going to weave these away nicely to make sure it stays together. For the stem, we're going to switch to our green yarn and we will single crochet around the top here. So we just want to weave this away a little bit to make sure it's secure, and then we will crochet around the top here, catching the edges, and so it will stay in place from this point. So I'll just tuck this away. And we're ready to start our stem. We're switching to the green yarn. Get that on my hook with a slip knot. Then I'm going to join it around the top with a slip stitch. And then I'm going to evenly single crochet around. For the large size that I'm making here, I'll place about 24 stitches. For the smaller one, you'll only need about 18 stitches. And you can adjust that number easily. So again, I'll just continue single crocheting all the way around. Okay, for this very first round, I'm going to slip stitch to the top of my first single crochet to join it. And then from here, I just go around and around without joining. For round 2, we'll chain 1 and then place a single crochet in that first stitch. And then I'm going to invisible decrease in the next. So I'm going under the first loop and then under the second loop and single crocheting. And then in the next stitch, it's a regular single crochet. And then decrease in the next 2 with the invisible decrease. And I'll link up a tutorial for that one specifically. I'll keep repeating that around. Okay, now on to round 3, we're going to invisible decrease around. And so I will add a stitch marker to my first stitch so I know which one I'm starting with. And then I'll just decrease around. Okay, so now we are just going to work single crochets around and around. If you're making the large like I am, you'll do rounds 4 through 9. If you're making a small stem, you'll just do 2 rounds 4 and 5 before you finish off. And remember to stuff as you go. We're single crocheting around and around pretty much until your stem is as tall as you like. Okay, to finish off our stem, we are going to do one more round of decreases with invisible decreases around. And we have an odd number of stitches here, so I'll finish off with just a single crochet in that last stitch. If you have the small stem, you probably don't need to do any more decreases. You can just sew the top together. And then we'll pull up a long loop, cut our yarn, and use our yarn needle to sew that top together. I kind of like how that looks like a little vine twirl there. Might keep that. And now we're going to crochet our leaf, which is done separately, and then we will attach it to the top of our pumpkin. Okay, so I'll start with my slip knot on my hook, and then we're going to chain 11. These first 6 chains will be for the stem, so you can add or subtract from those if you like, and then the leaf is worked over the last 4. So I skip the first one, single crochet in the second chain, and in each chain across. Now in this last chain here, we're going to add 2 more single crochets. So we'll have 3 total in this stitch. And that puts us on the other side of our single crochet row. And so we're going to continue on the opposite side there where we are by placing 1 single crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. Now we will turn and work back in those stitches. We're going to place 1 double crochet in each of the next 3. So I'm starting here with my standing stitch. You can use a chain 3 if you like. Now we're going to place 2 double crochets in each of the next 3 stitches. So we're working around the tip of what will be our leaf here. Okay, so now we can place 1 double crochet in each of the next 3 stitches, mirroring the opposite side here. And that's our leaf. We'll weave away our ends and use one of them to sew it to the pumpkin. There we go. Next up, we will be crocheting our vine. In our same green yarn, we're going to chain 15, and you can vary your starting chain to increase or decrease your finished length. I'm just making a small one to show you. You can also change the stitch to have double crochets or double crochets. I'll be using single crochets. Okay, we're going to skip the first chain, and in the second we're going to place 3 single crochets all in that same chain space. I'm working into the back bump here. 1, go back into the same spot. 2, go back in the same spot. 3. And then that's what you'll repeat all the way down your chain, placing 3 single crochets in each chain. It can get a little tight as they pull on the one next to it since you're stuffing the stitches, but putting too many stitches in one spot is what leads the vine to curl. So continue that all the way to the end, and then we will add it to our pumpkin as well. Okay, for these last few chains here, I'm just going to place 1 single crochet per. So I have a little bit of like a stem vine area to sew it onto the pumpkin area. You can continue to curl all the way up if you like, and slip stitch or use your yarn needle to attach it, which we'll do together here in a moment. Okay, I'm just going to slip stitch it down here at the bottom of my stem base to secure it, and then I will cut my yarn and use my tail to sew it down and weave those away. Or like I have left some of this curly frogged yarn as little pieces of vine, you can use that and to do that as well. We have our textured Zucca or pumpkin.